Hi everyone, and thanks once again for joining us for another chapter of Our Veterans and Their Story. My name is Christine Shirley, and it's a great honor and a privilege to have with us today someone who has been in World War II, and he is part of the greatest generation that ever lived, Mr. Carlo Caruncio. Carlo, thank you so much for being with us today. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me.
I wanted to start off, first of all, if you could tell us a little bit about your family history in the military.
Okay, my father was a military man in 1915.
And I think this is a picture of him, right? You can see.
What happened was he came to America when he was younger, 13 years old, and when he went back to Italy to rearrange his life, they put him right in the army because Italy was at war with Turkey. And he served about 2 years in the army, and what happened was 28,000 Italians surrendered, and he spent the rest of the time in the prison camp.
Oh my gosh.
And when I asked my father, where'd you sleep? Like in the building? He said, no, we slept on the snow.
On the snow.
There was no home
Oh my
for them.
gosh. So, what is your father's name? What was his
Michael.
name? Michael?
My father's name was Michael, and it seems like all the sons were named after someone a generation before us.
Now, are these some of the medals? Tell me about the medals
Right.
that he had.
In 1965, my father was received a letter from the Italian embassy in New York to go to New York and receive his medals, and a check for $50 because it was the 50th anniversary of the Italian war.
And that was before World War One?
Oh yeah, before World War One. Anyway, he survived the prison camp, and then later he came to America and had 4 more boys. And what happened was how I joined the Navy. A friend of mine was in the Navy when he was 15, and they discovered his age and they discharged him. And he never stopped telling me how good the Navy was, that I had to join the Navy. But anyway, I woke up one Saturday morning, and I woke up in the bed where 4 brothers slept. I was the only one left in bed. My older brother worked for the Bayonne Naval Base, and I was so lonely for my brothers that I told my friends that morning, I'm going to join the Navy. And they said, you're crazy, wait to get drafted. I said, you don't understand, I had to go. I was so lonely for my brothers.
And how many brothers were in?
We were, 2 were in, Dominic and Michael.
Okay.
They were in the military already when I had 4 months with the Navy Department when I was 17.
And this is your brother?
That's my brother Michael,
Michael.
and my other brother was Dominic, who was in the National Guards and the CMTC, Citizens Military Training Camp, before the National Guards. He was like 16 years old, and they trained up in Lake George, New York State, and for like 2 weeks. But they trained for the military. They already were trying to prepare the military to be stronger in case of war. You know, not realizing that we were going to be attacked by Japan.
And did your brother join before the attack
yeah.
on Pearl Harbor?
Oh yeah, my brother Dominic was in 1939. Like I said, he went to New York, Lake George for the CMTC.
And how many years?
Military Training Camp.
And how many years did he join?
Well, he was in until World War II was ended. Both of them were discharged in 1945 because they served before me. Because I was younger, I had to do 6 months, the duration in 6 months at my age. So that's why I had to serve 6 months in Japan for the occupation.
So do you remember the first day that you decided to sign up?
Oh, absolutely.
So what was that like?
I told you, I couldn't wait. I had to walk about 2 miles to the train station in Jersey City, and I had to take a train to 90 Church Street, where they had a Navy enlistment. They didn't have one in Jersey City at the time. So I went to 90 Church Street and joined the Navy. And I was the happiest guy in the world that
So
they accepted me.
they accepted you. And you were how old then?
I was 17. I
17.
had worked 4 months for the Navy Department, Bayonne Naval Base, when I went to join, because I missed my brother so much.
Did you, so when you went in, tell us a little bit about the training camp. Now, this is the U.S. Navy training camp that you went to.
Well, you know, like all training camps, I gained 30 pounds in boot camp, and people tell me to this day, nobody gains 30 pounds training at a boot camp or any kind of a military camp, because you're running all the time, you're push-ups and you're doing all kinds of exercise. I said, well, I told the man in front of me and the man behind me, whatever you don't want to eat, take it, I'll eat it.
Wow.
So I ate for 3 people.
Oh my
I gained
gosh.
30 pounds of muscle.
So show us which one is you.
That's me, I'm right here.
Okay, right
See
in
the
there?
circle?
Yes, yes.
That's me. 4th row from the 3rd up and 4th over. And I'd like to know how many of those people are left. These are friends of mine that they weren't serving with me or but I met them, you know, they came from Jersey City, and they were all like Navy men.
And what years did you serve?
Well, that says 1944. I joined in 43 because I was 17 years old. But by the time what happened was there was so many people joining the military after Pearl Harbor. Over 10 million men and women joined the military.
Oh my God.
They didn't have enough transportation, and they didn't have no camps. Do you know that I worked at the same camp that I served? I worked at Sampson Naval Base.
Wow, wow.
I worked there as a water boy when they were building it. It was like 75 miles from Jersey City. We used to drive to go to work there. And I used to ride on the back of a sedan. Because there was like 6 people in the car, I was the youngest. They used to put me on the back window.
They did.
Yeah, unbelievable. And I had to pay $4 a week for traveling.
Oh no. Oh, no. So how long were you in the training camp?
Well, we only worked a short time. Then it was built. Then what happened? Then I went to work for the Navy base.
And this is before you went in.
Yeah,
So how long was that?
I was only there about 4 months. I always think I was 17. I worked at the place when I was 16 as a water boy. I was young. And my 17th birthday, I went to work for the Navy at Bayonne, and I worked, I think, July, August, September, and October, 4 months. Then that's when I joined the Navy. So it had to be 1943, but they had me, because they didn't call me. I was home almost a year because of transportation and no camps. So I was home. I was in the Navy, but I was home waiting to be called.
So you were waiting for a ship to go on?
No, I was waiting to go to boot camp
Oh, to boot camp.
because this camp wasn't built yet. Because I worked there.
So after you were in boot camp then, and you were
And I
went to-
I gained the 30 pounds.
mm-hmm.
And then I got a ship. Finally they called me. God, it would have to be on my records that we had to get transported to North Carolina to pick up a new ship that was built in the shipyards in North Carolina.
And how did they transport you?
Oh, by bus, train, whatever was available. You know, we didn't have to drive there. And then it was the name of a county, Newport, USS New Hanover was the name of a county. And like the mayor's wife or whoever christened the ship.
She christened the ship.
And then we went aboard. Then we had to go pick up all the supplies, food, guns, ammunition. We had to go to Annapolis to get our ammunition and guns. You know, it was stripped, so you had to get everything and food. By the time we got all that stuff, then we headed for the what do you call it? Oh boy, what's the name of it? The Panama Canal.
Okay, the Panama Canal.
So
Well, when you were aboard the ship, what was your title? What?
Seaman.
You were a
We
seaman.
were seamen.
Okay.
Mostly seamen. You know, anybody that was an officer went to Annapolis or whatever.
And what was your job on the
Well,
ship?
my job, I was on a gun. I was part of a gun crew, 5 men, but most of the day I did what all the other sailors did. We scrubbed the floors, the deck, or we painted the ship when it needed the painting. You know, it was still new. But I was on a 5-inch gun. And before we left for the Panama Canal, we had to go to Virginia to practice firing this gun. We were new on it. And we were there with a crew of English sailors from England. They came to America just to learn how to fire our guns because they were serving on American ships at the time. We donated so many ships to England because they didn't have them. And so that's what happened. What happened was when we fired the guns, I was the hot shellman. I think I wrote that down. I'm the guy that catches the shell and throws it overboard because they accumulate so fast. These are big shells.
How could you lift something that large?
No, they're empty. The projectile is fired, and then the shell rejects out the back of the gun, but it's red hot. And you catch it, you got asbestos gloves up to here, and you catch it, or you're not supposed to even catch it. You're supposed to just hit it so it goes away from the crew.
So it's
over the side, most of the time, because if they accumulate on the deck, it don't take long to interfere with people that have to walk around, whatever, officers. Anyway, so what happened was I raised the shell about 6 inches from my nose, and I burned the skin off my nose.
Oh no.
So I had to go.
Oh no.
So I had to go to the dispensary in Virginia to have a patch put on.
Oh my gosh.
When I came back, all the English sailors were laughing at me.
Oh no. Oh, that must have hurt.
But that was one of my jobs on the ship, being part of the gun crew, because we only have one big gun, 5-inch. The rest were 20s and 40s. But we carried a lot of boats. We had 26 landing craft, from the smallest to the LCT. LCT meant landing craft tank.
Okay.
The LCMs meant landing craft mechanized. That was where the Marines or the soldiers got in the boat to go ashore, smaller boats. The big ones were for a jeep or a tank to go ashore. But I don't know, what else
Do you remember any other situations that happened?
I remember
while you were there?
every situation.
Did you have, what other duties did you have besides that?
Oh my God. Well, on the ship, besides the gunnery, you did a day's work every day like the rest of them. You either scrubbed the deck, you did the hard jobs.
Did you like
guard
it?
duty.
Did you enjoy
I hated
it?
guard duty because they wake you up at 11 o'clock at night and it said, "Guess who's going on duty?"
Oh no, it was
11
you.
o'clock at night till 3 in the morning.
Oh no.
And I couldn't stay awake.
And this is you.
Yeah,
Here.
I had to be I had whatever they call that sleeping sickness. I couldn't stay awake at that hour. It's ridiculous.
It's hard. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
sure, you're working all day, and you go to bed at 10 o'clock, lights out. 11 o'clock, somebody wakes you up and says, "You're on duty."
Oh no. How often did you have to go on duty?
Well, it was only once a week. It was ridiculous.
And you did that for how many hours?
Oh, 4 hours.
So it was a
I couldn't
4-hour
do it.
shift.
Well,
That's a lot.
it got to the point where I couldn't do it. I'd fall asleep standing up, and the petty officer would go around checking, and said, "Carl, you crazy? You can't sleep on duty. They'll shoot you in the morning. they'll shoot you for sleeping on duty." Well, I got in trouble one time. I don't even want to mention that I didn't see a convoy going on, and it was daylight. It was
Oh
daytime.
no.
But I was talking to a friend of mine that I used to do push-ups and punch the bag with every day. Me and him, we used to exercise every day in between. And I didn't see a convoy going by. And the captain would go for a walk after dinner every night, and he asked me, "See anything?" And I said, "No, sir." He put me on a report. A convoy went by. But
Boy.
good thing it was American.
Yeah, that's
Well,
for sure.
well,
Yeah.
well, I'm sure
Oh,
they
my.
knew. You know, they keep in touch with convoys. And I got in trouble. I got 300 hours of extra duty and 30 restrictions in foreign ports.
Oh.
I mean, we never got
To the foreign port?
we never got to a foreign port. We were in the Pacific. We used to hit Guam or one of the islands.
So where did you go from there? You mentioned that you went through the Panama Canal?
No, that was I'm already in the Pacific. We went to, after we got all the supplies for the ship, I went through the Panama Canal. It took 12 hours to get through the Panama Canal because there were so many ships lined up. You had to anchor on one side of the canal and wait your turn because it took 12 hours for the water to go up, the
Right.
water to go down. You better see
That
how-
must have been such an amazing sight to see.
It was. That was the greatest invention since the Boulder Dam, you know, the Panama Canal. That's why they protect it. Even today, they protect it. You know,
Now, did they let you off the ship at that time, or you had to stay
yeah,
on the ship?
we got Liberty in once. I forget. There's two places, two towns, one on one side, one on the other. I forget. We used to go ashore for Liberty for like a couple of hours, and like a rum Coke was like 10 cents.
Oh,
And
that
if-
was a popular drink.
Yeah, or rum Coke.
Yeah.
And if you went during the happy hour, you got 2 for 1.
Oh,
10 cents was a lot of money in
yeah,
the day.
yeah.
We got paid once a month. I was making 9 cents an hour. And I always tell people, hey, we were lucky. We got paid when we were sleeping.
Yeah, that's true.
9 cents an hour.
Wow. So now you go through the Panama Canal.
Go to the canal. We were a supply ship. We either get supplies from a ship that supplied us, then we would supply other ships or mostly land, like PXs. We'd get cigarettes and candy and food, and we'd have to supply the islands where the troops were.
Okay.
And I always remember Guam, going to Guam and getting Liberty there. And I had 2 cans of hot beer in my locker for about 2 years. And I drank, because you're not supposed to have liquor aboard ship.
Ah.
No. There was never liquor for the officers used to get Coca-Cola, and we got water.
Yeah, but didn't you have inspections where they would find those cans?
No, in boot camp they did, but not on the ship.
They didn't inspect
And
it?
the ship, they used to look for dust on your locker with the white gloves, because you had to clean the locker.
But they never had you open
No,
up the drawers?
No,
to
once
see?
you were in the battle zone, they were very lenient. I mean, you had enough problems worrying about some Japanese submarines or whatever.
So when you left the Panama Canal, did you go to Pearl Harbor?
Then we went to Pearl Harbor, 28 days, 9 knots. The ship went so slow, it took 28 days from Jersey, not Jersey, well, from Annapolis, whatever, from the shipyard to Pearl Harbor, 28 days.
Wow.
But that's the way it was, All these ships weren't in battles because we're traveling to get there. It's a big ocean, Pacific Ocean.
So, I mean, here you are in Pearl Harbor now. Now, this is what, like in the 1940s?
Well, that's where I took a picture with a Hawaiian hula girl. Like you take 10 pictures for $1, and my daughter made me put it behind my other picture there.
Okay.
My picture's in that frame there,
Uh-huh.
but I put it behind my other picture because my daughter didn't like it.
So I guess you don't want to show it.
She didn't want me to, she just, I don't blame her.
So what was Pearl Harbor like when you got there?
Oh, it was peaceful. By the time I got there, it was all built up. And all the damage was cleaned up and everything, but a lot of people, over 3,000 civilians and military got killed. The Oklahoma had like 800 something dead. Terrible.
Did you visit the site when you were out there?
No, because my ship, that's a big place. And we were tied up or anchored somewhere temporarily.
So did you get Liberty there, or did you have duty?
Yeah,
there?
we got Liberty because I remember going on the beach with a couple of buddies and renting a surfboard. We took pictures with a
Oh, that must
surfboard.
have been
I think.
nice.
But I don't remember where the hell the pictures are.
You didn't
I
run
probably
in?
got them in one of my folders inside. I got a lot of pictures from my youth and everything. And I say someday I'm going to look at them just to reminisce. I have a picture here. I have to get it because it's the closest friend I ever had.
Okay, let's see. And this is, now who are these people here?
This is me. I was the only guy that could afford a cigar.
Oh, you are? Oh, yeah, it's a car.
I had a cigar. That's me, and this is the only one that's alive. He's about a month or 2 or 3 months older than me. But I've been in touch with him. He's the only 2 that are alive. He was with the mob, this one. He got hit by the mob.
Where was this picture taken?
Jersey City.
This is in Jersey City.
Yeah.
And that's where you grew up. in
This was
Jersey
behind
City.
a candy store where we used to hang out.
Wow.
And this was my best friend. He died on my birthday, 209.
Oh, I'm so
July
sorry.
6th.
This is your best friend here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right there.
Aw.
Dapper Dan. And he had 9 sisters and brothers. They were poorer than us, and he would bring me out a slice of bread about that big with peanut butter on.
Wow.
Because my mother would never buy peanut butter because it looked too much like Puffs.
Oh, okay.
She never bought peanut butter, my mother. But we always had grape jelly.
So let's get back to the assignment that you had after you left Pearl Harbor. So when you left Pearl Harbor,
We probably went to Guam first because it was one of the islands that was taken. By the time I got there, it was like 1944,
Okay.
late 44, 45, probably 45. Because when I went to Frisco, after we went to the Pacific, we would go to Frisco for repairs. whenever you had repairs, you had to go to Pearl Harbor. But Pearl Harbor had so many ships that were being repaired from battle damage or just old age, just wear, that we had to go all the way back to Frisco, another 28 days,
Wow.
then 28
Wow.
back, so you weren't in the battle, you were just moving back and forth. And I'll never forget, we got to Frisco when the war in Germany ended, 1945. We were in Frisco for VE Day. It was amazing, and they celebrated the whole town. They did so much damage, looting and drinking, and 11 people were killed.
Oh my, oh my.
Who fell out the window drunk. We were drinking, and there was two women that promised to take a bath in a fountain on the Main Street. It was Market Street in Frisco. It was a Main Street. And it went uphill. Everything was hill in
San
Frisco.
Francisco, yeah.
And these two women promised to take a bath in the fountain when the war ended. In the water, I don't know if they had tights on, but I remember having a picture of them.
Okay, well let's go back to when we were talking a little bit about you wound up going. You were in the Pacific, and after you left,
Then we went back to the Pacific.
Right.
After Frisco. We always took something back, though, because when you came back, you either took civilians. I don't know how we ended up with American civilians sometimes, but you never went back empty-handed. Then the last time we went to Frisco, we took 300 American Japanese troops, American Japanese that fought in Italy. 300 Nisis, they call them. They were born in Hawaii, Japanese descent. And they sent them to Italy because they were afraid to keep them in the Pacific and they might be too friendly to the enemy. Okay. So they made them fight in Italy. They made 2 movies of them. I know I've seen both of them. And we took 300 of them back to Hawaii. They were all wounded. They were the funniest guys in the world. Oh, and we had such a great time with them. I always remember that.
now I know that
The name of the picture is Go for Broke with, the movie star. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Anyway, I'll remember. There was 2 movies. One with the older actor, and then later on they had one with the new one.
so they remade it.
But the old picture is Go for Broke. It was all about the Japanese-American troops fighting in Italy. They had an American officer in charge.
Okay.
He was a popular actor.
Now you had told me that you had to, in preparation of the Battle of Okinawa, that you arrived
That was
in October.
We-
April.
we had a rendezvous for the Battle of Okinawa, about 1,700 ships. I mean, they said there were so many ships you could walk from one ship to the other.
But you didn't know you were going into this battle, did you?
Oh yeah,
You did?
Yeah, we know.
You did
Sure,
know?
we knew about it. You always had information why you were in that convoy. It was no secret because everybody knew it. Japanese knew we were coming because they built 5 stories under the ground. They were so deep that they bombed with bombers. They didn't even kill them. They were so far under the ground. That's what happened. But we went in with the convoy. See, there were so many ships you had to anchor out. You couldn't go right to the shore and unload your cargo because you had to wait your turn with all the ships. And we were there April 1st, and we didn't unload until April the 13th. Like we got a call, you get the loudspeaker for the ship to come in. Anyway, the officers knew that. So we had to bring, but the Marines go in before we unload. In other words, while we were anchored, the Marines went in on the small boats that we had. All the ships, put them in a small boat, and they killed over 3,000 Marines in Okinawa because the Japs were coming up behind them. They come out of a hole behind them.
I saw the movie
Yeah.
on that. I saw that.
There's over 3,000 Marines killed.
What was it like when you were on the ship with all this going on?
Well, 80 almost 8,400 sailors died. More sailors died at Okinawa than all the battles put together. 26 ships were sunk. 167 were damaged. 6 aircraft carriers were damaged. One had to be towed to Washington State. They saved it. I think it was the Washington. I'm not sure, but I remember something. But they had to tow it to Washington just to repair it. But the other ones were damaged, but they stayed in the battle. But the suicide planes, you know, if you didn't see it, you wouldn't believe it. But before we got to the invasion of Japan,
Right.
we would do, after Okinawa, we rendezvoused again with 2,700 ships.
So they were all lined around Okinawa.
Yeah. Well, but that after Okinawa, after the Marines took Okinawa, we had to get ready for the invasion of Japan. So we had to rendezvous again. You know, we had to get our supplies, whatever, from whoever. They had hospital ships and everything. But I'll never forget, we were about 300 miles from Japan, and we were in this big circle of ships, and we were doing duty with Thompson machine guns. I was on duty with a Thompson machine gun because they said the Japanese were swimming out to the ships, scuba divers, was swimming out to the ships and killing sailors because we were only 300 miles from the, you know, and they could stay underwater forever with the equipment. And but I always remember I said, where the hell they get Thompson machine guns? I didn't even know they had them on board.
Wow.
You know.
Wow.
But if you wasn't at Okinawa, you're not going to believe that 300 Japanese suicide planes could come in at one time,
So they were dive bombing the
like
ships.
mosquitoes.
And what was your experience with that?
And they flew so low to the water. I was on a 5-inch gun. They flew so low to the water between the ships, aiming for the big flat tops or whatever, that we weren't allowed to fire. We never fired a shot at Okinawa when we were getting ready for Japan. Never fired a shot because the planes were flying in between the ships. Low to the water, you could see the pilot smiling. He's killing himself. He's got a 500-pound bomb. And they sunk 27 ships, 26 ships.
And didn't you tell me the ships were so close to each other that you could
how
almost...
how can they miss? But they just flew low enough to hit the ship that they're aiming for. They always went for a bigger ship, an ammunition ship or a flat top carrier.
And these were kamikaze pilots.
Yeah, they were all suicide
pilots.
And I got pictures of them drinking sake, sacrificial, and they got the scarf. That's the death scarf. They wear the scarf when they're going to commit suicide. But
Did you see the planes go down?
yeah, sure. A black, Navy man was. He won not the Medal of Honor, but he was a cook, and he shot down. He was credited with 2 or 3 Japanese planes.
Wow.
Now this was at Pearl Harbor. This is way back, Pearl Harbor. But he manned the gun. The gun crew was all killed, and he was a cook. And he managed to shoot down a couple of planes.
I mean, that must have been a horrific feeling being there, and having that. It must be maybe
And we
frightened to death.
had steel helmets, because when they were shooting the 20s and 40s, we weren't allowed to shoot. They were shooting up at the planes, and the shrapnel was falling all over the ships. So they gave us steel helmets to wear, because the shrapnel was red hot.
Yeah,
When it comes down, burn a hole in your head.
Head. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But we survived, but we never fired a shot. All that practice for nothing.
How long did that whole convoy stay there?
They claimed they shot down over 3,000 Japanese suicide planes.
Wow.
It took like a couple of days, a week, month, whatever. But they were like mosquitoes. You had to see it to believe it.
So there must have been no rest. It must have just been a continuous
Oh, yeah.
battle.
Because they all pledged to commit suicide with 500-pound bombs. I mean, imagine when they sunk a ship. Wonder why 8,400 sailors were killed.
Yeah, it's a shame. That's a shame.
And to survive that, and just looking back on it, I'm still here. It's amazing.
Yeah,
I find
thank
it
God.
amazing being this old and still here.
Thank God, really.
But that's the story.
So then after that, that's when you were transferred to Japan,
Then
right?
I was transferred to Japan, and I'll never forget how, before that, we had to travel on a train when we got off our ship. We had to travel on a Japanese train. I don't know how the hell they had railroads. I thought they bombed everything, but they put all the stuff together so we'd have travel, for the invasion force.
Right.
And that's the way they put stuff up the next day, like a railroad.
Wow.
Because I remember being on a train with Japanese passengers, and I'm all by myself in a Navy uniform.
You were by yourself?
Yeah.
I thought the Navy said you were always supposed to go in twos, at least.
No, sometimes it was a question of where you were going, when you were going, because every ship came in different times. You could only take so many ships in. The ship had to leave to make room for another ship.
Another ship, right.
In Sasebo, Japan. That was like New York Harbor. But, after a while, it's full of ships. Ship.
Wow.
But
So you people were getting ready the Navy was prepared to invade Japan.
So thousands, we were 300 miles from Japan when they dropped the bomb. So when it ended, like I said, we went to Sasebo, most ships, they went to different places. And you know what happened in Hiroshima and the other.
Nagasaki.
They sent scientists there, doctors, nurses, everybody to help the people, But I remember traveling on a train. Then I went to pick up my LCT, landing craft, and we were in a typhoon at Sea of Japan. They had a typhoon.
Oh, no.
I'll never forget that. We a crew of 8, and we were all sick. I don't know who was steering the ship, but we had to get to our station where all the other LCTs were going. Anyway, we got there, and there's a lot of other LCTs like us. We had a whole flotilla, and we had a certain job that we had like 5 jobs to do.
And what were the jobs?
One, we had to take civilians off the ships coming in. When they left the town to go to a safer area, just like England did.
Right.
Every country did that. They sent the people, the civilians to a safer place. And these people were coming back. They were all women. No men. The men were all in the army. All women, and we had to take them off the ship on the LCT and bring them to the dock. then they had to spray them for lice and everything,
Oh, wow.
and take the information, whatever. That was one of our jobs. Another job, we had to confiscate all the weapons in the town and put them on a Japanese rowboat. We had the Japanese helping us. A few men that were available, I guess, that were 4F or whatever. And we would take them out to the ocean and throw them in the ocean. Rifles, mostly rifles. I came over with a pistol, a rifle, a bayonet.
So I was going to say, they didn't let you keep them. You had to...
I kept them. Well, because we were in charge.
Right.
You know, my officer and the crew. So we took what we wanted. And I sold most of that stuff.
I was going to ask you if you still had it.
There was a collector in South River that used to buy them. So I sold them the bayonet and the rifle and the helmet, whatever. And then I had a carbine I sold to an American for $100.
And what is that?
Carbine was American.
Oh,
It was an American carbine.
Okay.
It was a light rifle. But it's like you could shoot a Japanese with a carbine and it's still running.
Oh, jeez. Oh, wow.
Now they got the bigger ones, you know, the bigger rifles.
So how did the citizens
But we did
feel
other-
about you being there, the Japanese
Oh, they-
citizens?
I'll tell you, there was by the time I got there, the Marines had already built a hospital, a home for the kids, and they even had a house of prostitution there already.
Oh boy.
Prettiest Japanese women in the world. But the kids were too clean. I said, they got to be sleeping somewhere. They even built a place for the kids because they always were clean. I said, how could they be clean? There was all rubble there. There was nothing standing. But because the Marines got there before us, they got all the good stuff, the pistols. We all had to buy a pistol from a Marine.
Oh, you
It was
did.
$60, Japanese pistol. It was a big stupid thing, big stupid gun. I still have in fact, I got to show you. I still have the holster. This is the holster from the Japanese pistol.
Oh, wow.
It was a big thing with a cover over here. And it was so clumsy, I cut it down. I put my nickname on there.
Mandy.
Mandy.
That's your nickname.
That's my nickname since I was a child.
How did you get Mandy?
It comes from Monducci in Italian. Monducci.
And what does that mean?
It's like a version of Carlo or something.
Oh, okay.
I've had it so long that
Holster, huh?
my mother used to call me Monducci, so it was close enough to Mandy.
Mandy.
I guess it was a version of it.
Now, you also told me that some people invited you in for some sake
Oh,
and
yeah.
dessert.
There was one Japanese couple. I don't know why he wasn't in the military, but he invited me in the house for a tea, I guess, and something like their version of a dessert was like a little stuff on a stick. I don't know if it was jam, jelly, or honey. And I thought that was pretty nice.
Pretty nice. But you
know.
also said you learned a song.
Well, I learned that. I learned to speak Japanese, too.
Can you sing that song? That was
I
great.
sing it all the time.
Well, let's hear you sing it.
Ame ame hude hude kai sanga, jaramana makai hude shina, pinchy pinchy chop chop, run run run. It's a little girl running home from school in the rain.
Oh, that was great. That was terrific.
And all the Japanese women I've met, the few that I met in America, know the song from school.
Wow. So they knew it. Oh my gosh, that's
But I
terrific.
met a Japanese woman that lives here. She's third generation. She don't even speak Japanese.
Wow.
She was born in Maryland.
Wow. Well, I also have
I
a.
can't find, but I met a woman here years ago when I first moved in. Her father was born in the town I was stationed in, Kagoshima.
Oh my gosh. I want to show everybody what an
Oh,
authentic
yeah.
World War II
The 13 buttons.
Navy uniform.
13, wasn't it?
Yep, no zipper, just buttons.
4, 8, 10, 12, 13, right.
Okay, these are the pants. And then the back of the pants.
I'll tell you, I couldn't do that today.
Why did they put the tie in the back here?
13 colonies, I think. I don't know.
Oh, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. But there's also on the back. Is this just for style, or it must have been a
Was
purpose?
that the back?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I don't remember that.
Maybe if somebody put on a little more weight, they could expand it.
Yeah,
It
well,
looks
probably-
like it's
probably
expandable.
what, yeah.
And then here's the jacket.
That was their idea of like stretch pants. I bought stretch pants
And
where they
here.
give a little. You know, when you get older, I lost 50 pounds. And I can't stand anything tight on my waist. You see, everything I open because it's so tight it bothers me. Now, you know, when your stomach is getting old, parts are getting old, you don't know what's happening in there.
That's true. You were absolutely right.
And I tell my daughters, exercise, nutrition, and sleep.
The best thing for you. You're right.
You know, it's not a question of how long you live, it's how you live it.
Now, I think, is there anything you feared when you were on the ship?
Only submarines. We got a submarine alert one night. I was in a convoy with about a dozen ships, and they pulled the alarm. We had to go to our general quarters, you know. General quarters means where the lifeboat's on, not the gun.
Oh, okay.
Not the gun, because we had bigger ships than we had for guns. You know, we probably would destroy or whatever. And that was the only time I feared.
Did anything happen?
No, I think it was just a fake. I think it was just an exercise, you know.
A false alarm.
That's why I always thought that maybe it's a fake, because we had American submarines watching us all the time. That's why we never got torpedoed, you know, because they were ours.
So, at the end of the war, what was it like? I mean, tell
Oh
us
my
in your...
God, I remember the day like it was yesterday. I was happy to be home to see my parents, my brothers. They were all waiting for me. And you know, I was so ashamed to take a taxi. I don't know why. First I missed the train in New York. I called my mother at Grand Central Station, and I missed my train.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
So I had to wait for the next one. So my brothers were waiting for me at home, my two brothers. And my older brother was driving a bus for his father-in-law. He had a franchise for a bus. My brother and his wife were living in their basement at the time, and he was driving a bus for his father-in-law. And they wanted to take me to see my older brother. So what happened was, anyway, I went home. I carried the sea bag all the way down from General Square to my house.
Oh,
I was only 20 years old. And anyway, when I went home, they said, come on, let's go. We're going to see your brother. But don't tell him who you are. Get on a bus and say, does this bus go to Hoboken? Because he always had a problem with sailors in Bayonne. There's so many sailors at Bayonne Naval Base that they always were drunk and they'd get on the bus, you know, give him a hard time. So finally they told me where to stand, and the bus came, and he opened the door, and I said, does this bus go to Hoboken? And he was ready to get mad at me. I looked up, and it was the greatest hug in the world.
that is terrific.
And we all came home, three of us.
And what was the United States like? What was that like?
It was better days, I tell you.
But I mean, how was that when the war was over? What went on? What did you see? I mean, we see stories of people grabbing and kissing each other and hugging each other.
You were happy.
Did you see that?
No. They treated you like royalty, I tell you. Today, They treat me better now than ever. The older you get, I wear this hat. If I tell you, at least 9 or 10 people paid for my bill. No matter where I went, no matter who I was with. I was with my daughter's son-in-law at the time. Sometimes I was alone. Most of the time I was alone. The biggest bill a woman paid for me at the Hightstown shop was $82 food bill. I never had a wagon full that much. You know, I bought a lot of stuff on sale. I always buy 3 or 4, the limit, like 4's allowed, I buy 4. But anyway, this woman insisted. I said, no, I got too much stuff. She gave the girl the card, said, don't take his card. She had an American Express, very elegant dressed. She was with her son. She was youngish, like 50 maybe. And she said, I got to pay for it. I said, why? It's too much. She said, my mother passed away 2 weeks ago, and she wanted to do something patriotic.
That was
And
beautiful.
she insisted on paying for my bill.
That was
the
beautiful.
biggest one.
Wow.
I had men pay for it at Costco's, at the ShopRite. Another guy grabs all my stuff, puts it up. I said, what are you doing? That's mine. He said, don't worry about it. Young guy.
That's beautiful.
And he paid for my bill.
Well, I mean, people are so thankful
But
for
I
people
don't,
like
you know,
you.
I always say, I wish they gave it to me when I was poor, when we were kids. I think I couldn't get 2 cents from my mother to pay for I was the president of the class club. I couldn't get 2 cents from my mother to pay for my dues a week. 2 cents. Know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
My mother said, are you crazy? That buys an onion, a carrot in them days. A penny.
It went a long way then. Carlo, I know you told me you were a resident of South River. For how many years?
35.
35 years.
I moved there in 1964, and I left there in 2003.
Wow. Okay, great. And did you join any organizations when you were there?
I belonged to the American Legion, and I only went to one meeting.
But you also told me that you did something with the Imperial Music Hall.
Oh yeah, we were big in you. I was in the chorus. My wife was more like a helper. She would volunteer to work. And I used to work the kitchen also. They used to feed on a certain night of the week. I forget what night anyway. I used to work in the kitchen as a second cook. And she used to work the tables.
Mm-hmm.
And then she stopped running the dances. She was so good at getting people together that it accepted her as somebody that knew what to do. She ran the dances. I helped her, you know. I did the running around. But like I said, we had Halloween dances and New Year's Eve dances. And
That was nice. That was
we had
great.
such a great time. We met so many nice people.
It's a beautiful place.
Mostly Russians, Polish, and Italians. But it's mostly Russian and Polish people.
That's great. That was so nice. Now you, when you got out of the service, what type of work did you do when you got out?
Well, I bounced around for 5 years. I wasted 5 years trying to make more money, and I made less money. So 5 years later, I was getting married by then.
Okay.
It was 1951, and my brother-in-law said, why don't you go back to the naval base? Because I worked there, before I joined the Navy. And they said they're hiring, so I went back to the naval base, and they hired me. The best thing I ever did, because
How long did you work there?
I worked 4 months. I worked another 2 years, I think. Not 2 years, 2 years. 22 years, I think.
Wow.
Approximately, and my military time counted, so I had 24 years of service.
That's wonderful.
But I had injuries on the job. I taught college. We used to do a lot of inventory because we used to supply ships and submarine bases and everything with food and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my job, climbing up high pallets and counting stuff. So we'd reorder, you know, and I tore my cartilage and I got surgery in a public health hospital in Staten Island. It was government. And I got out of the Navy. I got retired on it.
And then where did you go?
And I started, well, you got to do something. So I started working for funeral parlors. Not funeral parlors, limousine service.
Okay.
And the big service was in Perth Amboy. He had like 100 cars. And I had to go to a funeral director every morning in Spring Lake. I had to get up about 4 in the morning, pick up the car at 6, 5 or 6, drive to Spring Lake and do a funeral, then bring the car back, and that was it. We got like $5.
Oh, boy.
But all the guys at my age that retired were doing it just to do something, you know, and it kept us occupied. Then eventually, after about, I'd say 51, oh, it was a while. I was married, 51, 61, 71. Oh, I retired from the base, 73. And about 70, by 76, I was driving, and somebody said, why don't you start your own business? I said, what an idea. I said, what do you think I should do? Two young guys told me, Jewish, they were in business. So just get a bunch of cards made and give them out. And that's what I did. I bought my first car, 1976 Cadillac, from a funeral director in Bayonne.
Oh,
It was
nice.
advertised, and I was working at the base before that. And it was a brand new car. I bought it, I got it for less than what he wanted. And that was my first car, and I did wakes, weddings, bar mitzvahs, house parties, and cruise ships. I was so busy, I had a yellow page ad in the yellow pages. They used to call me first because my name was at the top of the list.
That's
It was
neat.
the name of the, oh my God, Cadillac. Trying to remember. The name of the company. I named it after the Cadillac.
Oh, you did?
So I was at the
Nice.
top of the list and people would call me. I
you.
got calls from all kinds of people.
Wow. And when did you stop doing that?
Well, and then by that time I had bought a home in Florida, and I said I couldn't go to Florida and be in business, so I sold the business to Sayreville Taxi.
Oh, nice.
Sold the business so I could go more time in Florida.
Oh.
I'm glad I did because I love to drive, but I loved Florida. 30 years we spent,
Wow.
all the winters.
All the way. How nice. How nice to
Yeah.
get away from
Well,
the cold.
People are still doing it here.
So, well, I think the most important thing too is that you have a nice life.
I've had a great life, and I'm having a lot of fun. I need
And you
people like
also perform in your
That's the
theater.
best part. I have so much fun telling jokes. I make up new jokes. I make them up, and I go to bed and I'm thinking of the next joke, and I create a joke. It's easy,
I know,
you
you do. You have
everything's
a gift
funny.
for that.
and I'm happy. I'm happy. It's not easy when you lose your partner. It's the worst time of your life. You're the loneliest man in the world because all my friends are gone. My brothers are gone. Who do you have?
But you've met new friends now. you
Right.
know?
And I go to senior center, people know me, Carlo, over here, over there, go over here. They all know me.
So what would you say to young people today about, your military experience?
I told a woman the other day, I said, you got a grandmother? She says, yes. I said, you help your grandmother and your grandmother will help you. Her grandmother's helping her now probably. Like my mother. My wife used to give the kids money all the time. I never give them money. I give them my regards.
Which is
they
the
don't-
best thing.
They don't need money. They're in the hock up their hair. You think they're going to pay their bill? They're going to spend it and have the same bill.
And
But I give my daughters money. I gave them $100 each because they drive me around. I said, they don't want it. They don't want to take it. Even my young one, she's working, she could use it. I said, take it. It's for the gas for driving me.
which is nice.
They took me to 2 cemeteries one day, up and down. Like they were on the turnpike all day.
But you're involved with veterans now, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, American Legion.
Right.
They feed us every Thursday. And I tell veterans, go there. We got about 100 here. They don't go. They don't want to go. They don't care.
But you told me that you really enjoy spending your time getting to know other veterans.
Oh, that's the best part of my life is I said that I want to donate all my spare time to veterans. I don't care what war they were in. If they need a drive, I tell the guys that are in charge, I said, find me somebody I could drive. You know, it's only local. I ain't going to drive them to a VA hospital. It's only local, the VA, not the VA, like here, we have a big meeting once a month. The Elks, they feed us. But they get very few veterans there. I put flyers in the library. I put flyers in the senior center.
Is there anything that we haven't covered that you can think of that anything at all that maybe would
No,
you wish people to know?
I wouldn't change a thing. I tell people if I died right now, I'm in good company. I'd rather do it here than die in a bed
So will we. An excellent company.
looking at the ceiling.
Well, thank you, Carlo. I really appreciate everything that you've
You
talked
are
to us
one of
about.
my closest friends because I know you so long and so good. And
You were too.
I swear I've seen him before. I've seen him before.
Well, we love you
He
too.
lives in South River. I spent so much time there.
I know.
I used to walk around the whole town at night. I used to go, my wife used to help walk with me. But when she couldn't walk no more, I used to go by myself all the way uptown. Even Florida after dinner. I used to walk with my wife. I drive to the beach there, and then I park the car and we walk. I buy her an ice cream cone or something. You know, I had a great life, and I'm still here.
That's right. So the question is, I guess, that to end this interview, do you have a joke for us?
A joke? Well, of course.
Okay.
You know, when I was born, the doctor said to my mother, you got a funny child. And my mother was a little upset over that and said, just because she looks funny doesn't mean you have to mention it. And she says, by the way, I'd like a second opinion. And he says, he's also ugly. She didn't want it from him.
Oh my
But
God.
I just made a joke up about the 1936 Olympics. I was picked to be in the Olympics with 2 Americans. One was black, the fastest runner in the world, Jesse Owens. Did you ever hear of him?
Yes.
And did you know Glenn Cunningham?
No, I never heard.
He was a pole vaulter. He was a point when he was young, and he still had the scars on his face or something. But I never forgot his name. And I said, and Carlo Correntio. And so when we flew to Berlin. It was the German Olympics, 1936. We flew to Berlin, and they questioned our background about, where you came from, this and that. And they said,